Hey folks, happy Tuesday afternoon, August 26, 2025. I'm Dave here with all of your stories for your rush hour ride home. I had all these things I was planning on talking about, but we have breaking news that came out seconds ago. I mean, seconds ago. We're going to jump into that right now, ladies and gentlemen. Breaking news, maybe you saw it from the title of this podcast episode. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are engaged. We're gonna go dive right into this story. I'm also gonna cover Cracker Barrel, Crumble the Cookie Store, Justin Baldoni. We've got Andy Signore responding to Blake Lively with some pretty bombshell information, and then we've got Donald Trump possibly, joining the Mount Rushmore, getting chiseled into stone. If that's not targets for people, I don't know what is. We'll get into all these stories. So much to cover, all this and more right now on The Rush. Let's dive into Taylor Swift. She posted this 8 minutes ago. It's already got over 1 million likes, of course. Your English teacher and your gym teacher are getting married. So there it is. So she posted this photo, very floral, lots of florals. Ladies love the florals here. We've got Travis Kelce down on one knee, Taylor Swift holding his face. I'm assuming she said yes. She said yes. You guys know me. I've always wanted to be the person who sees an engagement and then, because when you see someone propose, there's a lot of like tears and crying. I love you too. And it's like, well, what did she say? Everyone's like, what did she, the cooks from the kitchen are looking out. What did she say? And then I, with a good view of the thing, because I'm nosy, go, she said yes. She said yes. It's just, and that's the one issue I have. When I proposed to my wife, I got down on a knee on a private beach. There was no onlookers. I couldn't tell everyone. She said yes. I think my wife said yes. We have a kid now. I think that counts. So there it is. There it is. The iconic couple. And I mean, this is a big deal, whether you are a fan of Taylor Swift or not. Okay. This looks like a little 6-carat cushion cut 4Cs. I don't know. What's the clarity like on that ring? Maybe it's more than 6 carats. What I love about Taylor Swift is she's so wealthy. She doesn't have to do one of those stupid People magazine things where it's like, well, it's a lab-grown diamond from, she doesn't have to sponsor anything. She's just wealthy. So there it is. I think I'm assuming, my guess is they proposed before. My guess is they proposed before that podcast episode, which was going to be one of my featured stories. Podcast episode, here. Taylor Swift becomes a record-breaking podcaster with 1.3 million YouTube viewers concurrently, which is the most people that have ever watched a podcast at one time ever. Again, I know my podcast falls just short of that number, although we're the little engine that could. We chug along, folks. So yeah, that's an absolute wild story. Again, as we even just like refresh this page, I'm sure it's got 2 million likes. And again, all of this to do with her rollout of her new album. Look, when you're Taylor Swift, it's all part of the deal, right? You got to capitalize on everything. So there it is. And good for her. Turns her comments off. What does it matter what we think? We're happy for you. And again, I mean, that's what it was. She's like, oh, you want me to be a guest on your podcast? Got to put a ring on it, mother effa. So there it is. We'll move it on from there. We're very happy for Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift. God bless them. See if they want to invite us to the wedding. I'll be the flower boy. I don't care, whatever you need. Well, here we have an update to the Laura Owens versus Clayton Echard nonsense. Of course, Clayton has won all the way up to the state of Arizona Supreme Court. His, the decision that his accuser was never pregnant with twins, all that nonsense. Well, her attorney not only has quit on her in her San Francisco matter, but he's now gone missing on Twitter. He's deleted his Twitter, which probably a good thing. We'll have to see. Still trying to find out what's going to happen with all the bar complaints against him and whatnot. I believe tomorrow is his hearing for a DUI. You might remember he called me deplorable and one of the worst people he's ever met. But only one of us has not been arrested once or twice for driving under the influence. You shouldn't do that, folks. Interesting story here. The Crumble CEO was kind of outed this week following folks online saying, "Oh, that guy's super gay." This is what led to people online questioning his sexuality.
It's a wild story. So I'll start with you. Your cookies are all over social media. You've got influencers doing weekly reviews. How did that all start?
Yeah, so we knew from the beginning we wanted to be a social first.
All right, so a social first cookie company. Now, don't get me wrong, the cookies are good, but as a side note, I just want to let folks know, if you haven't had a crumble cookie, it might tell you how many calories are in the cookie, but you have to understand, those are the calories per serving. Every cookie is like 6 servings. They are giant, massive cookies. I have to remind people that because I thought I was enjoying this 300-calorie cookie. Next thing you know, I'm 1,800 calories deep. So either way, Sawyer Hemsley, one of the founders of Crumble, this great company, and then people online were like, wait a second, this guy is definitely not straight. Now, what's it to me? I don't care what someone's sexuality is, but I guess people calling him out went viral for saying, oh, this guy says he's straight. There's no, and again, like I said, it doesn't matter. People can come out when they want or never come out, Lindsey Graham. It doesn't matter. Do whatever the hell you want. But here's someone who explained, as someone who grew up in the same community as Sawyer, why this was a big and brave moment for him to come out.
Crumble just came out that he's gay, Mr. Sawyer Hemsley. And I just got to say, dude, I'm proud of you. That's awesome. So I've known Sawyer since he was a little kid. We were on the same dance team, and his mom was my dance teacher. So we both come from Preston, Idaho. So I know how hard it is for him to have come out, even though there was been millions of TikTok views of different creators calling him out as gay. I've never said anything because, again, knowing him personally and coming from the same town, we come from an extremely small farm town.
Yeah, listen, unless you're actively preaching about anti-gay rhetoric or, something like that, then I think if you expose someone as gay when they are doing, homophobic legislation, I think that's okay. But exposing someone as gay just because he sounds gay and he's in the closet, that's just the sad reality of the internet that people do that. You guys know I used to stand in for Matt Bomer, who was in his private life openly gay, but he was never famous enough where he had to make a public statement about it. And that would be the nice world to live in, where you don't have to say, I'm gay. But in the world that we do live in, which is heteronormative, right? It's like, it's a world where, people assume you're straight unless otherwise noted. In that world we live in, when people do come out, I do love to see the humanity that comes from others to say, welcome to this world. We don't hate you. Why would we? And I say that because I remember my good friend in college came out of the closet to me and he was afraid for our friendship. I was like, what are you talking about? Get over here. You know what I mean? What do you, but that's a fear that some people have because how they were raised or hearing that their father might not have approved of them or whatnot. I remember being at a very fun drag bar in Chelsea, New York City, which is one of the coolest parts of town. And I remember being there with this lady I met. It was after a show. She was a flight attendant, nice lady. And we went in there. We were like the straight couple. And there was a gay guy who brought his dad. And the drag show was cheering on the dad for, coming to an event that was unlike what you would normally see at a small town bar. And those moments are cherished. Those are special moments. And sadly, this kind of came under duress for the Crumble CEO, the Crumble founder. But I'm sure in some ways he is sort of cherishing the fact that he can now live his authentic self. And I wish that for everybody. Well, here's someone not living their authentic self. Wilson Contreras gets so mad at the umpire, he throws his bat, but the bat actually hits his own coach. That's not the funny part. The funny part is when he started throwing things from the dugout. This happens, a lot of rage in society. So I wanted to share this clip as the announcers share the moment this guy lost it.
Now, somebody fires a whole box of bubble gum out onto the field between the plate and first.
Don't you love how aggressive the announcers are? Now we've got bubble gum coming onto the field. It's cherry flavor. Bazooka Joe on the third baseline. It's just so ridiculous. This would be a great way to work in your sponsor, right? If you had a sponsor that you needed to get airtime for as a baseball player. Wouldn't that be funny if it was like, oh my gosh, we've got Tropical Smoothie Cafe being chugged by the umpire. He needs to stay fresh. You need a protein-packed breakfast to go along with that Tropical Smoothie Cafe, which is why we're sponsored by them today. You thought they only had delicious smoothie options? You're mistaken. Pair a smoothie with that toasted breakfast wrap. You can even order ahead online and use the rewards with the Tropical Smoothie Cafe app. Hey, maybe you want to customize things. Add more good vibes to that smoothie. Fresh add-ins like almonds, spinach and kale, chia seeds, supplements like protein and Energizer. My favorite smoothie is the Peanut Protein Paradise. The Peanut Paradise. Maybe you get struck out there batting and you need a little extra protein in your meal between innings, chock full of 22 2 grams. Make every day a getaway with the bold flavors and better for you pairings only at Tropical Smoothie Cafe. Tropical Smoothie Cafe, you're on Tropic time now. All right, so there it is. Yeah, you like how we worked that in? Let's do this. Let's just dive into this Cracker Barrel outrage. Of course, we've been covering Cracker Barrel rebranding. People are so upset about it. And my only point that I tried to make was the food sucked before. It's not going to get any worse, or is it? And, you know, I don't need to look at a sickle when I'm eating, biscuits and gravy. Here's Bobby Bones.
Cracker Barrel, and I haven't talked about this the last couple of days. They changed its logo. People are mad. People aren't really mad. Like, I'll say this, the new logo kind of sucks, but there's never really been a logo that has changed my life to make me want to yell, I'm outraged. But this is what happens whenever somebody makes something political or people are screaming about culture. And you know what happens here is people will create these, hey, let's fight about these things in culture, so you don't actually look at what's actually happening. Like, that's why all these things happen. So this doesn't matter. This has affected nobody. It will affect nobody. Also, it does kind of suck. And it's mostly people that will never go to Cracker Barrel or have never gone to Cracker Barrel who are yelling about it online.
And the truth is, yes, the new branding is bland and takes away a country niche and all of that. But it's not just Cracker Barrel. These are corporations that don't care about you or I. They're just trying to increase their shareholder, stakes. They're trying to, get into more markets that aren't just on some roadside in Tennessee. That's what they're trying to do. And that's what you get when you have the world being run by multinational corporations and these large corporations. Trump said Cracker Barrel should go back to the old logo, admit a mistake based on customer response, the ultimate poll, and manage the company better than ever before. They got $1 billion worth of free publicity if they play their cards right. Very tricky to do, but a great opportunity. Have a major news conference today. Make Cracker Barrel a winner again. Remember, in just a short period of time, I made the U.S. America the hottest country anywhere in the world. 1 year ago, it was dead. Good luck. I mean, why doesn't he just buy Cracker Barrel if you like it so much? We're turning to a state-run restaurant country. Feed the kids with Cracker Barrel. So anyway, let's move it on to Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively. All right, coming up next, we've got Andy Signore. His response to, he's, of course, in the court filings now being accused of being a pawn in the smear campaign against Blake. He denies that. I think it's pretty obvious he's not. But he has to explain in court documents why he is a proper citizen, a proper journalist. He's a citizen journalist. He's a citizen and a journalist. So we'll get into that. But first, we have Perez Hilton. The judge says no phones or laptops in the courthouse. So I guess there'll be no live tweeting of his court case. The Honorable Judge Richard Boulware II says this: parties are reminded that photography and recording any proceedings within the federal court for the District of Nevada is strictly prohibited. Again, so nothing new, but again, they're setting it up to prepare for the media attention that will arise. Andy Signore got served 7 weeks ago by Blake Lively. Of course, in the biggest insult in all of this coverage, I have not been served any subpoenas, which I get it. We're just not big enough. I understand. I'm not small enough or big enough. I'm right in that sort of Goldilocks stage where they're not suing me. Or subpoenaing me, I should say. But either way, there he is, and he got subpoenaed, and he says he's going to fight it. And sure enough, 7 weeks later, he is fighting it. Wanted to share several elements of what Blake Lively, or I should say what his response is to Blake Lively. Mr. Signore is the founder and CEO of Popcorn Planet, employed as the show's main host and investigative reporter. He receives a salary from Popcorn Planet and is not the only paid employee. The Florida Journalist's Privilege Statute defines a professional journalist as a person regularly engaged in collecting, photographing, recording, writing, editing, reporting, or publishing news. Yeah, so Blake's trying to make him out to be a quote-unquote content creator. It's this idea that either you're a content creator or you're a journalist. And in today's world, there are times when you can act as either. You can be someone like me in this case, who's more commenting on things because I'm not providing new information, although you could argue I'm reporting the news to my audience. But in the past, when I was, working more as an investigative journalist uncovering fraud in the Laura Owens case, I absolutely was a journalist. I was one of the main journalists covering the case, whether it looked, Like whether it was on NBC or not, it should be indifferent. And Andy makes that argument. Popcorn Planet and Mr. Signore meet the definition. Florida courts have held that internet-based news media outfits similar to Popcorn Planet qualify as a news agency. It absolutely does. So Miss Lively seized on Andy's statement in a 2020 tweet that he was not a paid journalist. That tweet is presented entirely out of context, no surprises there, by Miss Lively, and does not accurately represent the statutes of Mr. Signore's employment at the time. And again, because this is entertainment news, people don't consider it real news, but it's news. It's a public interest, and people are sharing the public interest, not just the entertainment side of things like the movie, but the sort of pop culture side, which is sort of the parasocial relationship that comes from following these movie stars and following the cultural ramifications of, intimacy coordinators moving on past the time when people got away with things that they no longer do. Blake Lively potentially using that segment of the Me Too movement for her advantage, if you want to work under the assumption that he never assaulted her or that he never harassed her. So Andy's long record of journalistic work covering trials includes entertainment industry heavyweights, Depp v. Heard, USA versus Combs. So, he just shows like, look, I've been doing it. I worked with these other companies that are, so again, he just shows his clear proof that he is a journalist. And in the footnote, it says, to provide an illustration of the irrelevance of using social media profiles as evidence of one's profession, it should be noted that Miss Lively's Twitter profile states, I found my Twitter password, and links to her drink business. Thus, by Miss Lively's own logic, she is not an actress. This, of course, is clearly not the case, just as Mr. Signore's social media profile is not dispositive evidence of his profession. You can say you're a content creator, and, well, you're not a journalist. You say that you're, like to make sourdough bread. Both things can be true. Miss Lively relies on Tag's interrogatory responses labeling Mr. Signore as a content creator rather than a reporter. The terminology is irrelevant. To begin with, the term content creator is so broad, it would encompass virtually any journalist publishing in digital formats. Courts have consistently rejected attempts to deny privilege based on semantics rather than substance. The First Amendment reporter's privilege, which exists independent of the Florida statutory privilege, determine the scope of the privilege using a functional analysis rather than categorical labels. Yeah. I mean, anyone who is a independent journalist is most likely also a content creator. You're literally creating content. So for her to argue that he's not a journalist, this is really, really important in today's world that precedent has already been set that journalism is showcasing new information, doing interviews, any attempt to provide information that's contributing to a public interest story. Courts have held that it makes no difference whether the intended manner of dissemination by news, magazine, book, public, or private broadcast or handbill, because the press in its historic connotation comprehends every sort of publication which affords a vehicle of information and opinion. So there it is, a vehicle of information and opinion. TikTok, and again, it doesn't even have to be publicly sharing it. If you're showing a video of police brutality and you're taping it on the side of the road, you are now a citizen journalist. You're protected as a journalist, or you very much should be. Miss Lively's characterization of coverage as a smear campaign is unsupported. So she attempts to equate Popcorn Planet's critical coverage of Lively with participation in a retaliatory scheme. This is entirely unsupported by the facts. As the record shows, Popcorn Planet reached out to Miss Lively's reps for comment in January of 2025. At the same time, it reached out to the Wayfair parties. All right, so nothing to see here. Blake Lively wants there to be a connection between Brian Friedman and these content creators. I've said this before. I've emailed Brian Friedman for an interview. Does that mean I am working with him and there's some dark? No, absolutely not. As the record reflects, Popcorn Planet has not received any payments or compensation of any type from the Wayfair defendants or anyone on their behalf. I'm sure Andy makes a fortune. He's got a large Patreon, a super large YouTube channel. I wouldn't even begin to, do you want me to take a guess? I think he makes at least $600,000 to $700,000 a year. That's just a guess. And he's worth it. He's a big content creator. That's just my guess on what he makes. It could be 1.2. It could be a lot higher. To think that he would need to put his whole brand on the line to work under the payroll of Justin Baldoni, it's actually insulting that Blake Lively doesn't understand that content creators, when they're doing it right, are probably making more than she did on certain projects. Remember that project where she, got attacked by a seagull on that rock? You remember that, Oscar bait? Remember that? No, she makes good money. As the record reflects, Popcorn Planet has not received any payments. Okay, so we got that. No payments. We move it on. What else is there to say? I wanted to share so much other news. I just don't know if we have time. I guess we'll just dive right into it. We'll do it all right now. So coming up next, we've got Donald Trump saying he's going to sue California. How about that?